Hello and welcome to LA Currents. I'm Anita Bennett. Well, honoring trailblazers and celebrating African American contributions to Los Angeles, it's all part of the African American Heritage Month celebration here in the city. And joining us to discuss this and some other important topics for Angelenos, we have Councilmembers Curren Price and Heather Hutt, as well as Council President Marqueece Harris-Dawson. So let's get right into this. You celebrated a famous photographer, Leroy Hamilton, is that correct?
Leroy Hamilton, who we all know if you live in Los Angeles and you're a part of civic life in any way, you've probably seen one of Leroy's pictures or had your picture taken by Leroy Hamilton. So on the third floor of City Hall, where council chambers, the mayor's office, there's a bridge that connects City Hall and City Hall East. And on that bridge, there's kind of a museum and display that has years and years of Leroy Hamilton's work. In fact, it's titled The Story of Us. It really is the story of us because he's been taking pictures for around 40 years now, and so it's a lot of history there, a lot of people that aren't with us anymore. I just think it's important to learn the stories. Learn the stories of Tom Bradley, learn the stories of Biddy Masons, learn the stories of Carlotta Bass, no relationship to Mayor Bass. Right. There's just so many stories, and I think once you know those stories, it opens up a world of possibility to you.
Many times our kids only see the headline. They only see the win, but they don't see the journey.
Yes.
And that's what this history part is teaching. It teaches you the journey to the win. And that's where their involvement needs to come in. They have to participate in the journey and not just expect the win.
And we hope to really help them identify individuals they can relate to. You know, they have to know that it's something that they can make happen. You know, during the migration period, 20s and 30s, of course, Central Avenue, it was a major corridor, was the corridor in South LA. And so while there's a lot of notoriety about some of the music and jazz clubs that occurred along there, there also were businesses, there were professional services, there were organizations, and those are the kind of things we highlight in our discussion of Central Avenue in this year's program. Because it really provides a more holistic appreciation for what was going on. It wasn't just music and jazz and having fun. Right. That certainly was a part of it. But it was also a lot of forward-thinking individuals thinking about the civil rights challenges that we were facing, just creating strategies to overcome and being a part of progress.
When you look at Los Angeles, I always call it the tapestry, especially the 10th district. But Los Angeles is really representative of people from all over the world. We have to remember in Los Angeles, we have some ancestors that really did make a difference. You know, old California, we had Pio Pico. His first governor was Afro-Latina. You know, he really paved the way for leadership of a gentleman of color. And then we have Biddy Mason, who owned everything on Hill Street. You know, she petitioned for her freedom, came here as a slave, and really made a difference for other people in their growth. So we have some big shoulders to stand on, and they fought for it with a lot less community to support them, and we have community that supports us.
And that legacy really continued. You know, we have an Office of Civil Rights Affairs, for example, in our city. We have a commitment to inclusion, to diversity, and I don't think we're going to be going back from that. You know, we have a majority of a population that's people of color, so I think this is an exciting time, and I'm just so proud of this next wave of leadership that are stepping up to the plate and really making a difference.
You know, it's our job to represent well and to see everyone where they are and not just look at life one way.
You know, we're not going to go back. That doesn't mean other people aren't going to try to. They're going to push us back. But you know, we've had these struggles before, and freedom, justice, and equality prevails, and the story goes in our direction as long as we fight. And so, the long as we fight is the important part. We cannot overlook that, and I think that's especially important in Black History Month. You know, all the nice pictures of all the cool people, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks, all those are great. But in Black History Month, I really want to make sure we remember the everyday people. The people who walked instead of rode the bus to work during the Montgomery bus boycott. All those hundreds of thousands, nameless, faceless people that showed up for the marches. All those people that show up to vote. All those people everyday people who take time out of whatever their life is to be a part of the struggle to make sure tomorrow is better than today. That's really, to me, what the Best of Black History Month is about.
One thing that many people in the city are talking about is immigration. And they are very concerned, especially the undocumented residents. What would you say to kind of squash some of these fears?
Well, I think the first thing everybody who is a part of the Los Angeles family, your neighbors are not going to turn their back on you. Your neighbors are not going to look the other way while someone does something to you. Your neighbors are not going to condone it. Your neighbors certainly are not going to encourage it or assist in it. And so we have that as our ethic, but also we have that as our official policy, which Councilmember Price has been a big leader on.
Absolutely. In fact, our office is partnering with a number of organizations in having Know Your Rights workshops over the last several weeks, so that the folks can understand what their rights are, what they can do, what they can't do, what the government can do and can't do, but providing some assurance that, as the council president said, we're with you, and that's the message I think that our government wants to convey.
Mm-hmm. And he's opened it up so that other offices can come and get that kind of training, so that they can learn. Okay, we have constituents. Mm-hmm. How do we serve them? So. We're all working diligently to protect people.
Okay. Will there be more workshops?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And where can people get more
information?
Well,
they certainly can contact CD9 for information about it, 213-473-7009. But the city will also be hosting workshops in conjunction with a number of other community-based organizations.
Mm-hmm. Where does the city stand on potential, this threat of raids in schools or churches? That's very concerning. Where does the city stand?
Well, I think there's a couple things. I think the official position of the city government, I think this is the county and the state share this position, is that we're not going to assist in any way. We're not going to provide protection. We're not going to provide cover. We're not going to give you any list of names that they've asked us for several times. We're not doing it in that way. That being said, the way this country is set up, our government also can't contradict the work of the federal government or create a physical barrier for the work. That said, there's what the government can do, and then there's what the people can do. So I think our churches, we have histories where we've had to have confrontations with the government sometime, and I don't expect that our community is going to lay down for any type of raid or you running into somebody, the person who takes care of my child, you running into their house and rousting them out. I don't think people are going to stand by quietly while that happens.
Well, already this week you've seen demonstrations in the streets, youth and others protesting the very idea that there are going to be restrictions that will be unlawfully imposed. And so people aren't going to just take it laying down. And I think there's going to be a cross-section of support for immigrant rights.
And again, there's a limit to what a government can do. And I think we're sort of right at that because, again,
a local government.
A local government or a state government can do. But again, we understand very, very clearly, this city isn't this city without immigrants. It just isn't. This city is made up almost entirely of people who came here from somewhere else. Almost always voluntarily, too. I mean, unlike, southern cities where we didn't quite get there because we said, hey, we want to go. Los Angeles has the distinction in the United States of being a place where almost everybody here, they or their ancestors decided I'm going to pick up from where I am and I'm going to go there, right? Because I'm going to go because I want the warmth of that sunshine. And so that gives a special place for immigrants in our community.
Well, this has certainly been a fascinating conversation. I learned a lot, and I hope the audience will take away many things as well. Thank you, Councilmembers Curren Price and Heather Hutt, and Council President Marqueece Harris-Dawson for coming in today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for this edition of LA Currents. I'm Anita Bennett. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.